Hey folks, I promise that one day I will stop filming with my phone. But, you know, I don't have my good cameras in here right now, and this right here is a piece of history that I would like to tell you a little bit about. I have a personal story about this model computer. If you're as old as I am, you know, if you were old enough in the 2000s to remember stuff like this machine, this is an Acer Extensa 4620Z. Just to give you an idea of the specifics, that's the specifics. You can look them over at your leisure. I have not upgraded this because they just want it put to the latest Windows version with the data recovered to like a drive, and that's it. And I'm not asking any questions. I'm doing what I'm told because, yeah. Anyway, this machine, this particular like model, I can tell based on the lines here, just this layout, this is a little special to me. It's not my machine, but it is similar. So I had one of these come in, and over here on the circuit board by where the power comes in, there was a capacitor that at the time apparently was shorted. And what happened is the computer didn't work when the customer brought it in, and it ended up in our pile of just junkers because it was dead. We didn't do board repair. I still really don't do board repair, but one day we were going through the junkers, and I opened this, and behind the jack, I found the capacitor was burned. I plugged in the power, and I saw the capacitor, poof, like it just popped right in front of me. So I got out a soldering iron, removed that little SMD capacitor that was right behind this, and the computer worked. But the other problem was the display didn't work. It wouldn't put out video, or the screen was cracked or something. It was a junker anyway. So I had this working bottom half, but I didn't have a working top half. And I had Ethernet back in beside my desk back then. So I took this entire lid, like I opened it up, ripped the entire top half off of the computer, and took it home, plugged it into Ethernet instead. And in doing so, I had this bottom half essentially act like a desktop with a keyboard and mouse built in. And I plugged in Ethernet, and I used this as my main computer for like 2 years. In fact, I'm not likely to edit this, but if I do, I'll look for the picture I have where I had this hooked up to a big screen like that one. That's irrelevant. But I had a bigger screen hooked up to this, and I think I actually may have had two. I don't remember. But off to the side here, I've got my monitor, and the wallpaper at the time said, "You are now aware of your anus." It was pretty funny to me at the time. We're talking like 2010. This thing came with Vista. It's pretty old. Pentium dual core, so it's a discount Core 2 Duo. Not a fast machine, but here's what I got on it now. I am putting Windows 10 32-bit. It only has... Oh, this thing's kind of stuck, isn't it? It only has 2 gigs of RAM, which is kind of a problem. No, it's not stuck. It's just slow because it's doing stuff. So it has 2 gigs of RAM, and since I'm not supposed to upgrade it, 32-bit is the only logical choice. Here's the thing about 32-bit Windows 10. You would think, well, Windows 10 will run like dog crap on a 32-bit machine. And right now it's running like dog crap just because it's busy. I mean, I'm doing the whole IoT enterprise thing there. But here, look, 32-bit operating system, 64-bit processor, 2 gigs of RAM. Windows 10, if you do it right, if you kill Windows Defender for one thing, just make, you have to do some trickery to do it, but switch it to a business edition like Pro or Enterprise, use policies to turn off updates, and frankly, Firefox does not run that bad on 32-bit 2 gigs, because here's what you have to remember. Yeah, Firefox or Chrome or whatever, they'll use a gigabyte just for starting up on a 64-bit machine, but the reason that it uses so much more memory is 64-bit means every pointer and the and one of the fundamental data units, a long in C specifically, and especially long, but if nothing else, the pointers that are used by the programs to point at data structures double in size. So a program that makes heavy use of pointers like, oh, I don't know, Firefox or Chrome, is going to be really bulky, and by using a 32-bit version of Windows 10 instead of a 64-bit version of Windows 10, and by running a 32-bit browser, our pointer size is halved. And the thing is, though, this chip may be a cheapy chip, but it has level 1 and level 2 caches, and cache utilization in optimization is a big part of speeding up any given program. Now, if you run a 32-bit OS, which means all of the pointers underlying your software are half the size, and you run a 32-bit program, which means all of its pointers are also half the size, what ends up happening is this program, which is taking forever, but it's because of this. I swear it's because it's switching Windows editions in the background, so, and it has a hard drive. Excuse me. But with all of the underlying pointers being half the size, you can fit double the pointers in the cache. So the CPU might be weak, but you're also asking about half, in practice, about 40% less of it. So your 32-bit operating systems, especially if you have less than 4 gigs of RAM, actually turn out to be a cache optimization. Now, the negative is this processor can do 64-bit calculations. It's got a 64-bit mode. It can run 64-bit software, which means there are situations where if you need 64-bit wide integers and such in the software to make it faster, that speed up is lost. However, in practice, most software does not make great use of 64-bit wide integers. Yeah, some of the security stuff might, but that really is trivial compared to the extremely improved cache utilization, speeding everything up. And in fact, I'm really just open this to show it to you. What can I do here? Can we just go to this stupid... That is a dumb-looking logo. Please tell me that's not their logo now. That is so stupid. Y'all aren't quirky or cool. You need to just stop. Just go back to the Firefox, back in the Firefox 4 days, dude. But yeah, if I just load these pages with no ad blocker or anything, and with this chug-a-lug crap going on in the background, you see, it's really not that bad. Like, let's just... Wait, where'd you go? Okay, so let's go to, what is a Firefox Focus? I never heard of that. Let's just hit Firefox Relay. I want to just show you browsing with a loaded down 32-bit old system. You know, of course, it's not loading quickly. I mean, it is bogged down and it has a hard drive and everything. But it does get the job done. And if you have a little patience, you can run a complete Windows Edition switch in the background and still browse. Anyway, I just wanted to show this off because people don't get to see what I talk about very often. When I say that an old computer, like computer power, long ago exceeded what normal people actually need. Let's go look at some internet cancer. What do we got here? Cancer.com. Check it out. Cancer.com. Blurrycancer.com. We can't stop talking about Trump. We like to lick Trump's balls. Okay. I hate Reddit. Anyway, I didn't come here to deal with political crap. But that's Reddit loading with a loaded down system. Oh, look, the search bar vanished. It's pulling out. This is also an old edition of Windows 10. This is 1909, so it needs some major feature updates. But anyway, you get the idea. This thing, even though it is an old computer from God knows how long ago, it's definitely pre-2009. Oh, wait, it tells us. It tells us exactly. Manufacture date 071023. That's probably 2007, October 23rd. So that would make this machine, as of this recording, 18 years old. 25 minus 7, yeah. I can't do math, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm right. This is an 18-year-old computer. It just a month ago, not even a month ago, I don't think. Yeah, a month ago, this computer just became an adult and can now go register for the draft to be killed in a foreign war. So, yay you! And an 18-year-old computer being able to browse cancer, I mean Reddit, no, I was right the first time, with some degree of performance, even despite the hard drive, even despite 2 gigs of RAM, I think that's really impressive. Oh, I just realized I was like, we hate Trump, we blah, blah, blah. And then the thing was about BBC apologizes to Trump. That's actually really funny. All right. The video needs to stop. Video is one thing that will choke down these old computers. A lot of these older computers do not have the hardware decoders required to decode higher resolution video without the CPU being massively strained. And it's a weak CPU on top of that. Oh, look, Task Manager decided to show up. You know, if I wasn't changing the entire Windows edition in the background, this wouldn't be such a problem. But I want to see the memory usage, and then I'll stop this video. Come on, hurry up. The memory usage is blank, because I am not a patient person. Hello, could you please just restart the computer already? Oh my god, no, I accidentally ran something. Oh, no, I didn't want to click. Clicking is not good, okay? You don't want to click things, because that causes problems. Okay, Task Manager finally decided it was going to be in attendance. Let's see how bad things really are right now. Keep in mind, 2 gigs of RAM, running a big fat... This is Firefox 135. It's a recent Firefox. It's not some old Firefox. Look, we are running up on the memory limit already. So, that's probably not helping our cause. It's updating Firefox. It's updating the Windows edition. I didn't turn off the visual effects, apparently. I haven't turned off Windows Defender, so that's hogging a bit, too. Yeah, there you go. Reddit is an oinker. By the way, here's a quick tip. If you're actually watching this right now, you're going to appreciate this. So, yeah, and the truth comes out. It's actually because it's a hard drive that we have a problem. So let's tell Windows Defender to stop doing whatever it's doing in the background. By the way, you don't need a third-party antivirus. If you insist on running security software, you just use Windows Defender if you're on Windows. Or be like me and don't use Windows Defender or any other security software. Just, you know, invite the viruses in like they're vampires and you love them and you just have a death wish. Come on. Well, look, I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, make you guys wait. So let me give you the tip. Details tab in the Task Manager. First of all, status does not need to be that big, but right-click on a column header, select columns. I think this is different on Windows 11. I think you have to go to the menus to pull up select columns. What you want is commit size. And page faults is nice to know because you can see that, but commit size is the actual amount of RAM a program has asked for. It'll tell you something like that in complicated terms. Virtual memory reserved by the operating system for the... This is how much RAM the program has actually asked for. This is how much memory the RAM the program has... the memory active working set, that is, or private working set. That's how much RAM is dedicated to the program that it's actually using. Commit size, however, is how much it's asked for. This is called overcommit, and what's happening here is Windows has... that's the Windows Defender engine. It's asked for 282 megabytes-ish, and the actual usage is 164. So Windows, and all modern operating systems, they'll see these numbers... Uh-oh, it's taking it away, isn't it? I thought it was doing something. Okay, it will allocate this for the program, but not actually reserve the memory. And then when the program tries to touch it, then it reserves the memory. Because you notice this program wants 165, or wants 280, but is only using 165. That's a difference of 115 megabytes of RAM that it's asking for that would just be sitting there not usable by anything else. And when you got 2 gigs of RAM, that's a big deal. Every modern operating system does this. You can see the same thing with Firefox here. There's a 164 and a 205. You know, and that's a little bit better, but still, this one's not. 257, 79. I mean, that's like 170 megabytes of RAM. But this is the this commit size is the amount of RAM the operating system, if the programs were to start touching everything that they're asking for, that's how much RAM the operating system has said, I will give you. So that's the number you actually have to use. That's the real RAM usage under the hood. This active working set stuff can be hard to decode, but when you go over and look at the RAM under like performance here, this, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there you go, in use versus committed. It's actually committed to 2.4 gigs, but it's only actually given out 1.8, and it actually has some available memory. You can kind of ignore some of that, and that's the memory compression feature that every modern OS has. You can see it's kind of helping to prevent things from being paged out, and Does it show the paging file on here? I actually don't know. It says paged full 100 megs, but anyway, that's just the way that I figure out what's sucking up RAM, because just because a program isn't using RAM that it's asked for right now doesn't mean it won't have some spike where it then suddenly does use the RAM it's asked for. And so that's the real number you need to be looking at when you're trying to figure out the whole RAM thing. Anyway, I think I have talked way longer than I intended. As you can see, we are running Firefox Windows Defender, a Windows Edition change, and Task Manager, and there's still 15% of the RAM available. It's the hard drive that's killing everything now. So I'm going to do some more tweaks to this to make it even faster, and then I'm going to take it to the customer because I actually am out of time. I have to get out of here with this now. So I hope this has been interesting and informational and educational and all that stuff. And if you want more videos like this, when I get something neat to talk about, when I have some stories, you know, just let me know. Oh, look at that. It's Microsoft Edge before they Chromified it. You remember that? You remember when it was like, wow, at least Microsoft's trying? Yeah, that's gone. Now everything is just Google Chrome. Everyone gets a monkey, as CGP Grey put it in his videos about election cycles. Anyway, gotta go.